No, I'm just gonna start talking to people and then we'll see what comes in. All right, welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today, we'd like to learn from you what you want to see from us, simply because we have lots of ideas of what we want to make videos about and what we think would be helpful at the same time. If there are burning questions that a lot of you have, we're happy to accommodate that. And we thought it's just a great way to kind of have a two-way communication and learn what's really something that you would like to learn about that we think we could do, right? If you ask us to write about women's bikinis, probably not our expertise. But yeah, I mean, we also right now have some, have an entire list when we create content. We have a content plan and a calendar so we can work ahead and make sure it's all published on time. And basically, right now, some titles that we have here are How to Dress Your Age, and we make a guide out of that and a video. And then we also have like Summer Business Casual, Should You Wear a Jacket Without a Tie, How to Roll Up Your Shirt Sleeves. For some reason, that seems to be a very popular topic. There are videos out there. I think my friend Antonio from Real Men Real Style already did 4 videos on the topic, and they're still getting millions of views. So it seems like it's a burning question men out there have. But yeah, why don't you share with us what you'd think? I'd like to see more of how and where the clothes or accessories are made, so we can see what quality we're buying. That's actually a great question, because what I've done recently whenever I travel, because I prefer to travel to the craftsmen we work with. So I started, taking lots of pictures and video. So now I have to create, narrate that and make it into a video. So I already have that footage. For example, I did it for gloves and for silk printing. So you'll really see how everything comes together and get a good understanding of how that works. We also did the videos about how a boutonniere is made, for example, and in our cufflinks, we just briefly walk through the steps that are necessary to create a pair of our cufflinks. How about a guide to wearing a tuxedo? Seriously? I mean, if you haven't found that by now, I can't help you. No, just search. We did an extensive black tie guide, and we did a video about it. We even have a dinner jacket guide. So between those 2 videos and the free guide that we provide on our website, you should have all your black tie needs covered. We'd love to see a video of fragrances. Okay, like just men's colognes and what's good with for whom, or like the history or everything. Be a little more specific, maybe. I would love for you to review a couple of the shoe brands that have an amazing patina. I'm going to travel at a reasonable price. Well, what brands are you thinking of specifically? Because, what we found, reviews of individual items are rarely that beneficial because not many people look for it. We've seen that a lot more people have interest in in-depth guides about a topic. And I could maybe talk about shoe patinas rather than specific brands, because, brands change things and they change the stuff over time. So if I make a video today and a year from now, it may be completely irrelevant. And so I'm not so sure about that. I mean, it may be a burning question that you have, but why don't you get the patina on your shoe in the first place? I would personally love to learn about Winchester shirts, the history and way to wear them. Actually, I talk about them in our morning dress guide quite a bit because it's very popular there. I also talk about the history. So it's a guide about formal day wear. So if you're really interested in them, we already got that covered. How to iron shirts, trousers, suits, and jackets. I think that's a great series, and I have ironing boards, like professional ones and like regular ones, and then I have a professional iron, I have an everyday iron. And to be honest, I almost like the non-tailor's iron more to iron shirts, simply because it's convenient, it's easy, it's quick. Like the tailor's iron, they have gravity feeds and the water tank, and it's a bigger hassle, and that means you're not going to do it so often. And yeah, no, we can certainly do that. We also now have this big studio space where we can, have really great B footage with our camera stand and show you exactly how things are done. I mean, that's obviously something that it's a little more difficult to do. It requires a lot more B footage, but I think that's a good one. Can you make video on how to wear a vest right? Yes. We have a vest guide, and I've actually held off with that a little bit because we're currently in the process of making our own vests. So the prototypes are being made right now. We worked with one company, but we weren't happy, so we looked for another maker to make exactly the patterns we want. And once we have those, I think I'll make extensive vest videos. In the meantime, we already have a vest guide on our website where we talk about things, so if you want to check that out, please do. How about an actual video specifically on white tie attire? Funny that you mention it. It's already like scripted and written out on our content calendar. So like white tie do's and don'ts. And just not too long ago we did like a photo shoot. And so, I was in full fig, which is another term for white tie. So we already have all these pictures with details. I'll put it back on. We'll actually wait until we have, I bought a real wide 12-foot roll of seamless white paper. It's not here yet. So once we get that, we roll it down. I'm going to be there in white tie, and so you can see everything and every little detail. So it's coming. Would you ever do a wardrobe tour? Yes. Problem is right now, we moved, and so stuff is scattered all over the place because my wife's uncle is a contractor and a really great carpenter. He made the kitchen cabinets in our old place, so he's usually not so busy during the winter, and our plan is to have him make a custom built-in closet for us. And so once that's complete, we'll definitely try that. I really want to see a video on detachable collar while you're wearing one. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, if I made a video on detachable collars, I would do that. It seems like it's a very small niche product. We're not selling it and stuff, but we could do something about it. I don't know how much I could say about it. We've discussed it in the morning dress guide, for example. Briefly touched on it in articles on the website. So maybe. How about how to wear yellow, how to wear purple and pink? I think they're great suggestions, and they fit right into our existing ones. I think we did how to wear green, and we could definitely do more of a series with color and how to wear it. I think that's great. Lookbook by GG. Yes, I've been thinking, or better like dreaming about it for a while, but it's a lot of work, and we're at the point now where we have a studio here, so we can hire someone. So my plan is to hire someone who can do videography and photography, and then plan shoots outside and create this proper lookbook. Definitely something that's on the roadmap. I think it would be interesting to see a series of videos that would outline ways to be well dressed in professions such as education, banking, law, etc. I think that's a great suggestion. The last series that we did was on weddings. And I thought, hey, it's wedding season. It's a really great time to do that. It seemed like a lot of people were annoyed by it because, they didn't feel like it spoke to them, or maybe they didn't have a wedding to attend. And sometimes people are very they just interested in what's relevant now, not what's maybe relevant in a year from now or 2 weeks from now. But I think the profession thing could be interesting because if you're in that profession, you're in there for a long time. And yes, people who aren't lawyers are probably not interested in what lawyers wear, but if we cover a range of different professions, I think that could be good. Perhaps a video on how to pair cufflinks and accessories to your suits. I think we already did a video on how to pair cufflinks, with shirts and colors. So if you want to check that out, please do so. In general, if you're looking for something, I always suggest use the search function first on our website, and in our YouTube, you can just search our videos. And we have lots of keyword-rich descriptions, so chances are you'll find what you're looking for if we have it. If we don't have it, yeah, you're not going to find it. Video about how you personally started getting interested in menswear as a young man. Some sort of autobiographical video. Okay, I could do just, I've mentioned things here or there, but I could do a more detailed thing about how I get started and my journey along. I really like your series about how to pair less common colors. Okay, great. That was in the same vein as others that were a little more specific. So we could do more of that. Q&As dealing exclusively with shoes, coats, jacket, etc. Yes, that's the plan that we do those. And I like to keep it specific, otherwise we get that range of questions. And that way, you know, if someone searches for jacket specifically, they can come back to the video, reference it, see all the questions, and find the solutions to their problems. So I think that's good. How about some tips for dress codes for a gentleman's club? You know, a gentleman's club is a huge different in the meaning of the word, depending on where you are. But no matter where you go, the dress code, usually gentleman's club is not a dress code per se, but we did an entire video about different dress codes. So if you search for like dress code primer or dress code guide, we'll have it there. Rules for cuffing chinos. Now that's a very specific one. We did a video on how to roll up your pants. And I don't know, when you say cuff, do you mean like rolling it up or actually adding cuffs? Because if adding cuffs, it's just one thing, it's a personal thing. I don't think it would warrant a video. But if you're just talking about casually turning up your chinos, check out that video. Do a video exclusively dealing with vintage fragrances. Well, you know, the problem I have with that is that people won't be able to buy it, right? It's a video and I'm going to be talking about vintage fragrances. First of all, I have to buy all of them somewhere. And then I'm going to be talking about something that is not relevant for the majority of people because they can't get them. It's kind of like, look what I have and you can't have it. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest, because the reason, you know, I started for Belvedere was because I had vintage gloves and people asked, hey, where do you get those? And I would have to say, hey, I got them from a flea market in Vienna. That's not helpful. You know, I want to be helpful and not just show off. I'm still a teen, so I'm on a tight budget. What important shoe care items should I invest in? Okay, that's a good point. And even as a teenager, you can have, you know, shoe polish and do it yourself, and it lasts for a long time. I did it when I had very little money, so yeah, that's no problem. I think we could do a series on shoe shining, maybe. That could be interesting. I noticed that you offer formal dress ascots on your website. Their history and how to tie them. Keep up the good work. Greetings from Germany. Yes, we just recently added formal daywear ascots, which I'm proud of because it's something you don't find anywhere else, really, right? So, especially not in the quality we offer. I think when I did the research before, and I only found like polyester versions in England somewhere, which, you know, doesn't make sense to wear with a morning coat because it's such a fine garment. You don't want to have a sweaty, cheap piece of fabric around your neck. But yes, on my to-do list, showing you how to tie the formal ascot, talking about the history, how to wear it. Definitely a specialty item, but that's what we do. Things that are hard to find elsewhere, unique accessories of high quality. Dressing to complement your skin tone and color. It's an idea that women pay a lot of attention to, but I don't see it much with men's blogs. Yes, I think that's a good idea. It's like part of the basics. So I definitely think we can do that. At the end of all your videos, you should let us see your complete outfit and touch on some description. What do you mean touch on some description? Description of the wardrobe items? I mean, it's actually a good idea. And like I said, you know, before the problem was our studio space was so small, it was not possible to get a full shot of me in there. Going forward, once you have that roll of paper, we'll set it up so I can have full dress-up clothing examples, and then we will definitely do that. Okay, what about which flowers are ideal as boutonniere based on the occasion? Yes and no. I think it's good for people to understand, you know, that, for example, carnations were traditionally often worn with white tie stuff or black tie stuff or evening wear in general. But at the same time, it's a very decorative item and it's a personal choice, right? So I don't want to provide a cookbook that says, oh, you're at a business meeting, wear this flower, because that would not be stylish. That would just be, you know, dictating you what to do. I rather want to inspire you and to help you to determine what looks good on you. So maybe we could do a video in that vein. We are setting up an old school gentleman's club. Okay, wait a second here. to look at some things. Okay. We're setting up an old school gentleman's club, not a strip club. Just a nice house where you can congregate and smoke a cigar while reading a newspaper. We're still thinking about etiquette, tips. Well, to make a video about that would be a little much. I just say, think about a dress code that you want to establish. It could be cocktail attire or whatever works. Talk to the potential members because they're the ones who are going to be there. So you don't want to alienate them. And maybe you can have, parties with specific dress codes. Keeping feet cool in dress shows and other anti-sweat solutions while staying fashionable. I think that could be a good one, especially for summer. What to do if you want to go bare feet. What are the options? So I think inserts, short socks, all these kind of things. I could see us do that. What socks go with black monk straps? Yeah, that's not really subject, or it's not enough content for an entire video. But we have a video on how to combine shoes with socks and pants, and that's what you want to check out because you'll find your answer there. Vintage items and where you got them. It may work as inspiration for where other people might get vintage attire. Yeah, vintage attire is kind of a problem in the sense I love it, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of work involved, a lot of time investment to get these items. And then, you always have to have them altered as well. But you get unique things. I mean, I could do a video once on how to do vintage items. I think I did a guide on how to dress elegantly on a budget. Please check that out because that has all the steps I would take. And, everyone has to look in their local areas or on eBay where they do things. How to recognize quality at a good price versus quality at a high retail price. When is it worth it? Wow, okay. I mean, I'm always trying to do that in all the videos when we talk about clothing items. I think one video about all clothing items together would be way too long. But we'll try to incorporate it in every video when we talk about socks or ties. Or, for example, we did a knit tie guide or 7 hallmarks, I think, of a quality tie. Like, those are the kind of guides, and in itself, they cover a lot of, in-depth stuff. So that's the stuff you want to look at. Or $100 suit versus $1,000 suit, $500 suit versus $5,000 suit. We did the same with shoes and with the gloves. So check out these guides, and you will find the answer to your question. Something with umbrellas and office bags. That's true, yeah. We have never done anything with umbrellas. Office bags could be another interesting video. Of course, there's so many out there, but talking about specific styles and what's functional, modern versus old school. Showing various types of shirts like mock collar, ruffle dress shirts, Asian style collars. I would never wear ruffle dress shirts. That should only be worn at a 70s theme party. Asian style collars. It's not something I'm personally too fond of. You mean like the Mao collar style? I mean, they're very specific things that are not really classic menswear. They're kind of offshoots to the side. So not quite so sure about that one. When and where to wear these things fit ideas. Perhaps a video on how to behave, state of mind in a certain attire. Like maybe how to stand while in morning dress without looking pompous and elitist in a top hat. Maybe it's just me. Well, yes, if you wear a top hat and a morning coat, it's you'll get noticed and people will ask you and they will look at you. But if you think about specific poses and how you stand, that perpetuates the problem because it makes you not at ease in your clothing, which is kind of contrary to being a stylish person. So I think when you wear it, you have to own it and wear it and not think about what pose you should have, but just be yourself and go about your business. Whether at the horse race or the wedding, just be yourself and be normal. What about content for styling in hot and humid weather? I'm from India. I love to wear suits and jackets. Okay, I think we have a few guides about that already. So use the search function, please. Bomber jackets for winter. I think we're already working on a bomber jacket guide, and we could do that in a video. We'll talk about it more in September, in the when it gets colder again, when it's more seasonal. Because if we do a video now about bomber jackets, people don't care, because again, they care about what's relevant now, not what's going to happen in 3-4 months from now. Proper hairstyles for men with thinning hair or semi-bald. Okay, as you can see, I'm not balding myself, but I could definitely talk to people who are and figure out what works for them. What shoes should I wear in college? Kind of a how to dress as a college student guide, maybe, for shoes. I could see that right now is like back to school, right? So could be kind of a back to school guide. At the same time, Gentleman's Gazette is more about an advanced level, and we can help you how to get there. I'm not going to be talking about what backpacks to buy and what sneakers to wear to school, because that's just not us. That's not our expertise, and that's not what we are about. Maybe you want to check out Teaching Men's Fashion. I know he did stuff on that specifically. So Jose Zuniga, Teaching Men's Fashion. Maybe a video on a decent leather suitcases or messenger bags. Yeah, office bags, briefcases. Leather suitcases is a tough one because, they're beautiful, but they're heavy. They're impractical. I just talked to someone when I was in Florence, and she had this beautiful, I think, a Globetrotter suitcase from London. She says, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's totally impractical for travel, and she traveled a lot. I found that polycarbonate suitcases are great. The wheels are awesome, especially if you travel a lot with bags and stuff. They don't look nice, but they can be a lifesaver, especially when you have a long trip ahead of yourself. I was thinking about doing maybe something on how to pack a suitcase, and then we could also do like a suitcase guide, kind of a series maybe. I think that's good. Video on dressing in very cold weather would be quite good. Okay, we live in Minnesota here, so in the winter sometimes it's like negative 40 degrees. I found that, I have very heavy overcoats, and you can wear them and they keep you warm. But the problem is then like your face and your ears, So just wearing a hat is not gonna cut it, like a fedora, for example. But yeah, we could do that. Let's wait for that until it's colder again. A video on garment bags. I've yet to find a decent one after many years of searching. None of them work, and my clothes end up wrinkled every time. If that's the case, yes, we can talk about garment bags, and there are different ones out there. There are travel garment bags and individual ones. If you say that your clothes end up wrinkled, probably either you stuff them too full, or maybe you just have flimsy fabric that wrinkles very easily. Then you just have to hang them out and put them in a shower, basically. But I travel with garment bags all the time in my suitcase, and I never have issues with wrinkles. So yeah, it's not much that I do. Just don't stuff it. Dressing as a gentleman by different regions, you're an example. South America, Northeast US, UK, and Italy. That could be an interesting way to do it. Ideally for that, I'd like to travel to those places and show people from there, because that's the most authentic thing. Otherwise, it's kind of hard. Maybe I could use pictures from people I know that are from, like Sweden or Italy or South America, and try to portray them in a way, kind of having a lookbook style. Yeah, that I could see that. Proportion for guys that have short legs and long torsos. Actually, we did a video about proportions. Please use the search function, because that'll help you. We talk about, when you have short legs and long torsos, which, I'm 6'1.5", 184 centimeters tall, but my inseam is only 30.5 inches, which is quite short. So I have a long torso and relatively short legs. I don't know if you're even more extreme or not, but I definitely talk about these things. Maybe a video on techniques for online thrifting. Yeah, I could do that, I guess, like an eBay helper guide. It has been a while since I've really been into eBay, so there may be lots of changes and stuff. I still use eBay, occasionally, but I really was very active when I was younger and had a lower budget. What I realized, though, was that minimum budget that I had, I would always spend it all on eBay. And then I would end up with a lot of stuff that I wouldn't necessarily need, so it was kind of tough. And I learned that for me, kind of staying away from eBay unless I have some specific needs is much better. Otherwise, I spend, half a day looking for stuff on eBay, and that's not very efficient use of time. Different types of pants hems and cuff heights. We did, we did a video about pants breaks where we talk about cuffs. We just did something with, we filmed something on how pants should fit. So stay tuned on that. I think we covered a lot of the cuffs and the options and all the things that you have there. So I don't think an extra video would make sense at this point. Proper care, up and cleaning of shoes, different types of fabrics, types of stains, etc. Yes, I think that's a good one, and we'll do that maybe as part of a course. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, I think maintaining your clothes once you invest in quality makes sense, and it prolongs your investment. Video about vintage shoes, history. Again, vintage shoes, yes, it's cool and we can talk about history and we always try to do that, but I'm not going to talk exclusively about a vintage thing because people won't be able to find it. We can talk about it, see what they like, but then we want to help people today, not just be nostalgic about the good old times. A video on correct posture. Oh my, I'm not the best person to ask about that. You can see here, I am sitting here in my Aaron chair, and it's good. I like it. But I have myself, you can probably notice, I have scoliosis. My right shoulder is a lot lower than my left, and it's also like sloped forward. And I've had that ever since I was a baby, actually, I learned. And so I went to, physiotherapy and did stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's something to keep in mind. And a lot of people sit these days in offices, so it's important to get up and do things. My wife is pregnant right now, so we got this ball, and so she sits on a ball. We also got like a standing desk, so I think that's a cool idea. Maybe we could do something in that direction. Best non-iron shirt brands, please. Yeah, non-iron shirts don't exist, period. There are some marketed non-iron shirts. Most of them have like a formaldehyde coating, but it comes off after so many washes. The only company that I know of that has something is called Eaton, and that's like a more natural process. And you can learn more about it we wrote a guide about them. The shirts are quite pricey, and I have them. And are they non-iron? No, they aren't. Do they wrinkle less? Yes, they do. Does it wash off? No. So that's kind of the only non-iron shirt that I could think of. How to talk to your tailor and alterations tailor. Yes, I think that's a very good one. And I should probably do that with an alterations tailor, like move there, do a local setup. But I think that's an excellent thing. I'd also think, when you talk to a bespoke tailor, it always helps to have kind of a spreadsheet with all the things that you want to have. Because when you're at the tailor, sometimes you forget things because you're too excited. And then it's just different. Would you do vlogs of your daily life? Personally, I think it's extremely boring to see what kind of spaghetti other people eat, and I'm not that interested in what other people do. Like vlogs, it's like, to me, it's kind of celebrity bullshit, that reality TV shows. So I think I don't want to do that. Personally, if it's a cool event, maybe. But what I've found is when you always have your video camera with you, and you can't really enjoy the moment because you're just fixated on what it looks like in the camera angle and do that. So if you're there with your family, you neglect them just because you want to make a video. So I think I don't want to do that. How to wear oxbloods, chilies, and reddish colored dress shoes. Check out our how to wear brown dress shoes. We cover that there. Replica watches or cheap, authentic watches. We did a piece about counterfeit or replica watches, and I'm just not a fan of the concept because when you design something, you put a lot of thought into a design and you create something. So if someone else just walks along and knocks it off, they of course don't have that overhead cost, and then they can give you a cheaper product. Usually they also go cheaper on the prices, right? It's like, for example, if for Belvedere products, we do all that work on educating people and telling them what exactly to do. So if someone would come along and just copy our product, they don't have all that cost. They just have to create the product. And if they do that, well, You still have the education level from us, but you buy that product. It's just not something I want to support. Not something I believe in. A video on driving fast cars. Yes, I'd love to do that. And, I've never really thought I was a car guy. And then I drove this, I think it was a Ferrari F430. And it was a lot of fun. Just the feeling, in the curve. And I like the element of speed. So, when I came home, I was looking at cars and stuff. And I think, 600 horsepower as a fun car is where it's at. And there's actually a car club here in town, and they go to like a Brainerd International Raceway twice a year, and you can go there and stuff. So it's on my to-do list. Yes, I'd like to get more into that. So hopefully, we can start getting into cars. I'd love to do that. So it's just a bigger commitment, but glad to see that there's an interest for that. Dry cleaning and what to be aware of when laundering your clothes. We've actually already written it, so stay tuned, and we could also make that into a video. James Bond suits. Wow. Okay, I could do, like a roundup of that, but if you're interested in that, I think there's a website out there called The Suits of James Bond, which is exclusively dedicated to, what he wears and all the intricate outfits in every movie, and so check that one out. Or just Google it. Could we have a video on belts? Yes. We're actually doing, creating some belts right now, so once we have those, we'll have an in-depth guide on showing you, different belts and the qualities and what the differences are. So stay tuned for that. You mentioned you're from Germany a few times. Are you considering coming to Germany and do a video about local customs regarding style? No. I think Germany as a whole, when it comes to style, is not very advanced. I think most Germans are more interested in Jack Wolfskin and functional wear. Are there, some stylish people in Germany? Yes, there are. But, there's not so much regional style. It's more of a personal style. So, yeah, if I'm in Germany I'll meet stylish people, I'll definitely, take pictures and maybe do a video about them. But regional, I don't think so. A video on furnishings, dishes, and cutlery to complement your style. That's actually a good point, because I always believe that style is not just limited to clothing. It's an all-encompassing thing. And unfortunately, most of us are not in a position to be able to have the very best in everything, the very best house, the very best car, the very best suits, the very best silverware, the very best china, the very best Chesterfield couch, the very best fireplace and chandelier. So most of us have to kind of compromise in some areas and focus more on others. But I think it's a great idea, and especially we're furnishing our house right now because we moved from a smaller condo to a bigger house. So there's empty space, and we did a lot with like paint colors and how you get that right, and the chandelier and what china do you have, and we did some of those things. I think they weren't always the most popular things. So, popular demand tells me do more about clothing. But every once in a while, we'll throw in those outside areas that, are maybe not so interesting to everybody, but we believe it's great to know, and that's what the Gentleman's Gazette is about. Perhaps a video on what color combinations to wear in the fall and winter for preppy style. Also a video on when and what to wear with spectator shoes. Okay, we did a guide on spectator shoes, so I talk about it there. Preppy style, we did fall and winter guide. We have a preppy guide. I don't think we have a preppy fall and winter guide, but that's extremely specific. So check out the guides we have first, because a lot of that also applies to preppy style, and you should be good to go. Your favorite brands and where and how you shop. That could be interesting. You'd be surprised probably to learn that, brands to me are irrelevant really, because I look at the quality of things and I want to look at it and be able to judge without looking at the label. Of course, every once in a while, there are brands, for example, Hancock and More. It's a brand that makes quality sofas and couches. They're tied 8-way, they're tied down, they have good foams. I've experienced with that. So yes, if I see a brand and I have that, that's good. Or if I have like Finnegan's, was a vintage creator of old leather goods from, I think, Bond Street. And, they were high quality stuff, cool stuff. So yes, knowing that can help you to identify things when you look for stuff on eBay, for example. But otherwise, I buy ties for $1 if I like it, if I know it's good, it's an unusual silk. I don't bother with the brand. Especially in the US, there were so many private label things. So, you have to be able to determine what the quality is without looking at the label. And how I shop, I don't shop in stores usually. The only like local stores I shop at are like vintage stores because I can find really unique items, mostly for furnishing stuff. And then for clothes, I have things custom made or estate sales. So it would not be really replicable. I mean, I could take the camera along sometime, I guess. How to change an outfit from lunch to dinner. We take it off and you put the next one back on. I know what that's not what you meant. But sometimes, at weddings, you have that where people change their outfits before the evening. And so, yeah, you probably meant on keeping the same degree of formality. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's very common anymore. I know most people don't change between lunch and dinner. So I wonder how relevant that would be. If you can elaborate more on what exactly we're thinking, maybe it can help. Comparing European suits to American suits. That's an interesting topic because, if you go back and look at books from like the 90s, for example, it's quite funny because they say, oh, the Italian silhouette is a lot of shoulder padding and the wider cut. And if you look at Armani suits, for example, from the 90s, that's exactly what you get. Versus American style back then, would be considered to be a shoulder without any padding and like a sack suit kind of style. Now, I look at that today and think, wow, if you talk about an Italian suit or an Italian jacket, that's not what you envision today when you look at that book. So I wonder how valid it is in the sense of like a timeless style. Maybe we could do something about, what style Italian men have and what do you see more in the US or more in the UK kind of thing. Video about the kind of suits you like. I'm guessing English cut. Actually, I'm open in terms of cut when it comes to suits. I think I found kind of my own style. So whenever I have a suit made, I usually bespeak and customize exactly what I want, like the lapel shape. And I think about, hey, what fabric do I want with that suit? Where will I wear it? And I just customize it. I don't have like a kind that I use and then I stick with it and I don't change. I'm not like that at all. So yeah, we're at like 37 minutes here, 38 minutes. So I think we've got quite a bit of good inspiration. So thanks a lot. We're not going to be able to do all those videos, in the next 2 weeks, but we'll put it in our to-do list. We'll incorporate it. We'll see where it makes sense to put them in, and we'll try to get them out. So thanks for your feedback. We'll also save all your comments from the live chat, so we'll keep that as a record, so we kind of know what's going on. And if you have other ideas for content suggestions, leave them in the comment section on YouTube. That we'll see those too. And the more people like it, or the more often we hear the same thing, we know that's actually something a lot of people are interested in. So those are the ones we'll do first. We could even do something like surveys sometimes with different topics, and you could all participate, and then we just work our way down. But yeah, let's see about that. Thanks for joining in. We already filmed a bunch more videos now with our studio, so stay tuned. Soon we'll have a baby, so there may be a little baby pause for us in the production, but there should be uninterrupted content for you guys because we've worked ahead. So yeah, have fun. We may do fewer live videos during that period, but then my goal is to have a regular established day, probably on the weekends, where we can always have our Ask GG live sessions. So yeah, stay tuned. Make sure to sign up to our newsletter if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're in need of men's accessories, please check out our shop. Whatever you buy there, helps us to create good videos for you, helps us to hire people so we can create more content. And yeah, if you like what we do, support is really appreciated. Thanks. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.